Come on, boys, JJK players. It's gotcha time. More to the point, Miwa and Gojo. So, really quickly, should you summon? On Gojo, if you do not have him, yeah, you should probably summon. The only reason you wouldn't is if you're saving for the anniversary and Zone Yuji slash Sukuna slash Red Gojo. But this Gojo is probably the strongest Gojo we've got at the moment. Between his base ability, which gives him attack nullification at the start, and damage taken and all of this sort of good stuff, very, very strong. This also applies attack nullification to himself, and if he's already under the effect of Curse Technique Increase Special, which this gives him, and which he starts with, he gets 80% damage for 4 turns and 30% crit rate. Then his 2 attacks in skill 1. This one is a decently strong combination of physical and curse technique, but you're mostly going to be going curse technique for him. But thankfully, this does increase his ultimate gauge by a lot, so if you're rushing with him, this is pretty good. Skill 3 is just raw curse technique damage and a 30% damage dealt debuff to them. So that's pretty good as well. And his ult is just an ult, the big boy ult that hits everyone for about 1500% damage. And he gets crit damage dealt, and so does his cooperator. So very, very strong if you don't have him. This is pretty good as well. It's split stats, so not as good for Gojo as you might think, but really good for like Yellow Nanami or something like that. 90% yellow damage for 1 shot. And if the ultimate gauge is at max, 20% great damage to himself. So you do really want to be ulting the turn you use it. As in ulting the turn you get your ult gauge, but you don't have to. Miwa. She's fine. Let's have a look at her passive first. When she crits, she increases sheathing count by 2 up to a stack of 15. If she's in a counterattack status when the turn starts, she gets an increased sheathing count of 1. And when the turn starts, she gets the following based on sheathing count. So 1 to 3. 15% physical technique damage taken decrease herself. 4 to 6, she'll also get 50% break damage. And 7 or higher, 50% crit damage. So pretty good. So what's the sheathing thing do? When she has a sheathing of 1 or more, 7.5% damage increase to self. Higher the sheathing count, the higher the effect, up to 100% for 1 time. So that's pretty good. So that would be, I assume, at the 15 stacks. Deals melee hybrid damage equal to 120% of physical and 45% of cursed. So she is again split stats, but mostly physical here. When the sheathing count is 5 or higher, gets 35% crit rate self for 3 turns and reduces the sheathing count by 1. So it's really going to be a juggling job of the sheathing count. Okay, skill 2, never give in. She gets counterattack status to self 2 turns 3 times, and chance to apply evasion. 1 turn of evasion 50%, and increases sheathing count by 1. Applies provocation to target enemies. I assume this is just 1 enemy, but I'd need to check if we got it. If we get her, 1 time, 1 turn. Counterattack. If she takes a single target melee attack when the sheathing count is 1 or higher, she gets a damage buff. And then she deals counterattack damage of 154%. And she also gets 10% physical increase to self, and increases her ultimate gauge by 110 and reduces sheathing count by 1. So again, trying to dance around the sheathing count. This is 20 CE. 20 CE, 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 20 CE gets 30% physical technique increase to herself for 3 turns and increases the sheathing count by 3. So the way I see her going, that a lot of time you'll start with this, and then you'll be wanting to go with this until you get the sheathing count. She is a bit difficult to use. I don't know how great she's going to be. I think she's average, but let's see what her ult says. When the sheathing count is 1 or higher, applies 30% damage to health increase to self up to 100% one time. So I assume this only needs like a 4 or a 5 sheathing count to max out. I assume it just scales linearly at the 30%. Deals melee attack hybrid damage, 820 physical, 360 cursed, and applies 22% physical technique damage taken increase to them. Good. If sheathing count is 7 or higher, 15% physical technique damage taken decrease self, so she gets a buff there, which is nice. After using ultimate skill, sheathing count is reduced by 7. So that's a little bit annoying, but it means that at the very least you'll be able to start stacking it up again with this. So that's not too bad. But yeah, you really do want to be farming those crits. If you can get a lot of crits with this, that will be really, really good. This is probably going to be quite good on just a single enemy, but she might be a bit difficult to use against multiple enemies. Although she does have a fairly low ult gauge, so she will be able to use this fairly often. I would say she's definitely a skip, though. Definitely a skip. What does this do? E attribute damage, self for 2 turns. That's really good. Split stats is good for her. The ultimate gauge reaches max. Guaranteed hit to self. 1 turn, 1 time. Not entirely sure how useful that'll be, honestly. I guess it'll get around like evasion sort of thing. But it's probably not great. This will be really useful for her if you get a lot of like counter attacks off. That's the big get those counters off. And a crit. Yeah. There we go. Look, if self is in counter attack status when the skill ends. What? Skill ends. I don't know what that means. That's weird. If she's in after a skill is used, I assume. After a skill, I would read this as if you are in the counter attack status when a skill is used, applies 20% crit rate self 2 turns per time, means she's more likely to crit when she's countering. Basically, seems like it should be repeatable as well. So it's actually pretty good for her. Like if you like Miwa, and it's got some pretty good art, not gonna lie. Like, hang on, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this for the boom. For the video. Yeah, for the thumbnail. Whoop. Go back here. Yeah. But let's get some summons in. I'm not going to do any summons on Gojo. I have his recollection bit maxed. And I have him at like 3. So actually really quick, gotcha details. Did they add the off banner? Did they do the off banner updates? Oh, no, this is just his original banner. This is a skip if you've got him already. This is a giga skip if you've got him already. Miwa should have all of the banner updates though. Like if you're going to summon on a blue character, you're probably summoning on Tokyo. If I'm being honest with you. Yep. Perfect. Give me blue Yuji. If I don't get Miwa, give me blue Yuji. Bunch of tickets in the missions for the latest event. So that's where you'll get most of that from. She's certainly a cool character that I'd have fun messing around with. But with the pace the game's going to seemingly try and catch up. Ooh, screens, let's go. Punch, or maybe not. Oh. My concern is that we're going to be moving too quickly into Sukuna, and there's no point getting a blue character that's not Sukuna at this. Like, we've got enough supports. If you need tanks, you've got Hanami, you've got Toge, you've got Green Kaito, you've got Red Panda, who's on standard now and will be getting a buff to be able to taunt literally everyone. There's just no real reason to go for her. And it's one of those weird cases that if you actually did want her, right, you'd almost be wanting the recollection bit more as well. But the recollection bit is so specific to her because it requires the counterattack status. So I'm pretty disappointed, if I'm being honest, about how she fits in with this, like with the meta and how the game's going. And it's also been a bit weird that we've just had this influx of like blue characters. Like blue Toge, into blue Nanami, into this blue girl. And it's like, blue's not bad if you have blue Yuji or blue Kamo. Kamo is pretty mediocre. Or like a decently duped blue Gojo, which a lot of people will have Gojo with 1 or 2 dupes at this point simply because of missing on rate up, right? So it's kind of hard to justify, I think. Kind of is what it is. Oh, that sucked. Do I have one more to draw with? I do! One more ticket. Let's go, guys. Eh? Huh? No! Okay. Aw. Nothing out of nowhere. I did actually get an SSR on this banner. Kind of cool. I got green Gojo. So I'll take it. It's a useful dupe. Better than pretty much anything else that's been going on, so I'll take it. But the overall thing is, she is okay, but a skip. Giga skip. If you don't have yellow Gojo, feel free to summon for the man. He's really good. He is really, really good, really, really powerful. But be aware that if you whiff on the banner, you are getting original launch standard characters or recollection bits guaranteed. Not necessarily bad, but pretty awful overall. So that's the banner. I'll catch you guys later. See you in the next one. Peace.